say, and I've been trying to tell you all my life, this is how to make me happy. It starts when they're really young, when they would rather have candy for supper than to have maybe Brussels sprouts. It starts when they go to school and they say, oh, I want to have these shoes because everybody else has these shoes. And then as they head on into their teen years, you want to make me happy, you've got to buy me a car. That's what I want. And so all the children are thinking, all right, Mom and Dad, you better be listening, because I'm sure he is going to tell you how to make me happy. And I'm going to walk out of here thinking, oh, things are going to be great from here on. But, sure, we want our children to grow up joyful, happy, peaceful, but it is not the job of parents to make children happy. It is the job of parents to train children to live well in this world. When we think about our children, we want to say to them, things are not always going to be easy, but I can help you learn to handle those things well. You can grow up to be a contented, happy, joyful, peaceful person. And I'm going to help you learn to be that way. Now granted, if you ask children what needs to be said to make them happy, you're going to get one set of answers. But if you ask adults, they're going to get a different set. This is what children really need to make them happy. And let me also suggest, they're not going to get these lessons from their teachers in school. They're not going to get these lessons from their friends that they hang around. They will not learn these lessons by watching any television show. They will not learn these lessons predominantly by the internet. If they're going to learn how to be happy truly, it has to come from parents. And as we walk through these things, I want you to notice the effect that these lessons will have for the future. I want you to begin with me in Genesis chapter 33 and in verse 5. You know the story of Jacob and Esau, how that they had a bit of a problem, because Jacob stole Esau's birthright. And he ended up moving away from his family and being gone for at least 14 plus years. And then he comes home and he's decided he's going to come back. And Esau had not been very happy with him. And he had really been highly upset. And so Jacob was concerned that Esau would still have a problem with him. The Bible tells us in Genesis 33 that when Jacob came home, by then he had 2 wives and a number of children. And in order to meet his brother, he sent everything ahead of himself. He sent all of his herds and cattle. He sent his wife, first wife, and her children. He sent his second wife and her children. And then last he came himself, hoping that it would sort of alleviate any leftover angry feelings that Esau had. Esau asked him a question, verse 5. Who are these? Oh, and I love Jacob's answer. These are the children that the Lord my God has graciously given to me. The first lesson that children need in order to make them happy, teach them that they come from God. Now, in our schools, they're often being taught something different. If If you ever wonder how in the world that schools can be so out of control, why is it that there are wild animals running through the hallways? To me, the answer is really clear. There are wild animals running through the hallways of our schools because they have been taught in our schools that they are derived from wild animals. The Darwinian evolution would say this. People came as a process of time evolving from the animal kingdom produces exactly what they are. Teach your children they come from God. Let me ask you something. Think about this one. Did you ever get the genealogy craze? You know people who got the genealogy craze? I really want to look up that genealogy thing, Ancestry.com. I've not done it yet. But I'd like to get on there, and I would like to find interesting things about my family. Let me ask you a question. Do you know anybody who gets on Ancestry.com and says, "Guess what? I found the family! Guess what? I'm related to Jack the Ripper! Isn't that great?" They don't say that. They don't talk about all these people that are the dregs of society, and they get excited about it, and they post it and say, "Look, this is where I came from." I do that. They all want to find that they came from some king somewhere, some president, some great leader, some great thinker, some great inventor. Why? Because it is important where you came from. And you don't want to come from bad seed. You want to be able to say, "This is where I come from." You're not just one more animal. You're the crowning thing of God's creation. You're not just one more of 7 billion people. You are unique and special. You come from God. When we teach our children that they come from God, it gives them an explicit and an implicit strength that they can rely on and turn to and remember. When things aren't good, they can say, "That's okay. God made me." Rather than, "My quadrillion great-grandfather was a gorilla." Which one helps children be happy? That they come from God. Number 2, tell your children they are the future. I remember being in high school and going to youth rallies and various things, and various preachers would say to me, "You are the future of the church." And it would occur to me eventually, now wait a minute. Can I be the present too? Yes, you are the present, but the point is not that you're not a part of the present. But here is the point. You will be the future when those of us in the present are no longer here. You're carrying on when we are gone. Let me put it this way. You will carry on and leave them carried away. You're the future. Therefore, we teach our children, Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 1, "Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come, and you say, I have no pleasure in thee." You're the future. We don't want you to be someone in the future who has no pleasure in things of God. still keep up with children who are not faithful anymore? How could that be paradise? Don't you want to get your children in a position where you are comfortable that you have done all that you can do to prepare them and to give them the best send-off for the future that you can? Don't you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? So that when their futures come, you can be at peace. And when it's time for us to pass on, then we can die in peace. I feel sorry for parents who, because of sickness or advanced age, reach the point of death. And in their minds, they have to think about children who are not faithful to the Lord. That doesn't give them the peaceful hour in which to die. Tell them they are the future. Train them now to get ready to take over. Sure, they are in the present. Yes, they are valuable in the present, but there's coming a day when you and I won't be here. I've prayed all my life that God would let me live long enough to see all of my children form Christian homes. Because then I can be at peace. Not that they were guaranteed to be faithful the rest of their lives. But I sure would have been put them on a track that they have a far better chance of. And now that all three have married, they have Christian homes. Everything from here on is gravy on the potatoes. For some of you, it's meringue on the pie. I'm not a dessert person, so it's gravy on the potatoes. Or, Brother George, it's a whole lot of butter on some good cornbread. Teach them their future. Number 3, teach them they are the best the world has to offer. Now, I'm not saying make them conceited and arrogant. I'm not saying to fill their heads with fluff. I'm not saying tell them things that they just walk out the door and their heads won't fit through because they're just too big. I'm not saying that. But I am saying tell them exactly what Jesus said. Matthew 18. He took a child from the midst of a group and he said to everybody, put the child on his knee. Except you become converted and be like this little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Unless you humble yourselves like this little child, you cannot be great in the kingdom of heaven. The best the world has to offer is the innocence of a child. It doesn't mean they always do everything right. It doesn't mean that they're always a sheer joy to be around. Because sometimes all you want them to do is just quit crying. That's it. We had twins, boy and girl. And our little girl just cried all the time. We have pictures of their first birthday and their second birthday. Setting the cake out in front of them. They cried through both birthday parties. Fine, I could say at 2 years old, no more birthday parties. But sometimes you just want them to be quiet. Just don't cry. Whatever